How a teenager survived 11 days in the Amazon jungle after a plane crash. On Christmas Eve in 1971, Julianne Kupska, who was just 17 years old at the time, was the sole survivor of LANSA Flight 508, which was traveling from Lima, Peru's capital, to Panguana. Following a lightning strike that caused the plane to disintegrate mid-air, Julianne, still securely fastened in her seat, plummeted 3,000 meters into the Peruvian Amazon rainforest. The plane hit a thunderstorm, and lightning was all over the place. People started freaking out, screaming and crying. The plane got tossed around, and sandwich trays were flying everywhere. Julianne's mom, who was a nervous flyer, tried to calm her down, saying, "Hopefully, everything will be okay." Then, the scariest part. The plane took a nosedive. As it fell out of the sky, Julianne's mom just said, "Now it's all over." As the plane began to disintegrate in midair, Julianne and the seat she was strapped into became detached from the crumbling plane itself. "My mother is no longer at my side and I'm no longer in the airplane," Kupke wrote in a memoir called When I Fell from the Sky. She survived the fall but suffered injuries such as a broken collarbone, a deep cut on her right arm, an eye injury, and a concussion. "The forest," she wrote in her memoir, "saved my life, the foliage cushioning the impact of her 10,000-foot fall. She went in and out of consciousness before finally pulling herself to her feet. Eventually, she spent 11 days in the Peruvian rainforest, most of which were spent making her way through water by following a creek to a river. While in the jungle, she dealt with severe insect bites and an infestation of botfly larvae in her wounded arm. As she continued walking, Julianne also found the bodies of other plane crash victims, many of whom were still strapped to their seats. By the 10th day, she was near exhaustion. She had eaten only a bag of sweets she'd found at the crash site and thought she might starve. At last, the teenager was able to find an encampment that had been set up by local fishermen. She gave herself rudimentary first aid, which included pouring gasoline on her arm to force the maggots out of the wound. The following day, January 3rd, 1972, Julianne was finally discovered by 3 fishermen who found her in the shack and helped her to safety. After her rescue, Julianne learned that she was the sole remaining survivor of the LANSA crash. A total of 91 people had been killed, including her mother, Maria.